Hello everybody, it's Theia and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Garden Goddess Tarot. Today, I'm just hands, which is different, kind of fun. We're gonna give it a try. Hopefully it's gonna be great. But that aside, I've got some news. So we're just gonna jump right into it actually, because it's kind of exciting and rather pertinent. So, many of you might recognize this. You may not, because it's had quite a few different decks in it over the months. But, as many of you know, I've created my very own oracle deck. It's called the Hellenic Oracle, and it is this one right here. And I've had this one for about a year, and it is an oracle deck that is comprised of all of the Greek pantheon Olympic gods, the Titans, the primordial gods, and other peripheral gods, spirits, etc. It is fantastic. It's a deck that I made because I had a need. I could not find a deck that did this job, that worked with the energies of the vastness of the ancient Greek pantheon. So I thought I'm gonna make it myself. I used a collection of neoclassical art as well as some landscape paintings for the primordial deities, like you see here, Hemera. It's titled in Greek, transliterated to English underneath. It's been a delight, and I have used the bejesus out of it over the last year or so. And it had always been available on Make Playing Cards if you wanted one too. A few months ago, it got taken down for reasons that required me to improve it. So what I did was I went through the whole deck and I revamped it. And that 90 card Greek god deck turned into this beast here, which is the Hellenic Oracle Revised Edition, which is 100 cards thick. So I threw in some extra ones that I'd been meaning to include, as well as I altered the cards that needed altered, which were just ones, for the sake of argument, that were just a little bit too fuzzy for the printer's liking, which is just fine. I had been kind of meaning to do an update on it anyway. So that's what this one is, and this is the copy that's available right now. All of the original deities are the same. There's some added ones, like we've got Clymene here. The details about this particular deck are a few videos ago. I'll also link it in the cards so you can see. But for all intents and purposes, this was great. I'm happy that this is out again, and you know, Bob's your uncle. Life's back to normal. But in the spirit of my creativity and the fact that I've been promising an expansion to this deck for about a year, I just kind of kept a rolling. So I put together a list of not necessarily deities, but Greek mythic heroes and monsters that don't necessarily fall under the term deity. So all of the main cards in the Hellenic Oracle deck are deities. There's only one or two humans, and it's Pandora and Hercules, who eventually gets, you know, he's a demigod, he gets godhood eventually anyway. But this is a deity deck. The expansion pack, which I may as well whip out right now because I have it right here, is our Gods and Monsters deck. All three of these decks have the exact same backs on them. They're the exact same linen cardstock for Make Playing Cards, so they're all interchangeable. So that's what this deck is, and it's ready and it's available and it's out, and I'm gonna do a little bit of a flip through of it for you today if you wanna take a look and see what's inside. So this one is a 54 card deck, but it includes the 20 new cards that are in the expansion. So if you have the original copy of the Hellenic Oracle deck, which I know quite a few do, this is all you need. Everything that was changed to be in this expansion deck is in here. So we'll go through them and have a look today. So as I said, the new gods from the expansion, as well as men and monsters. So I'll go through them right now. There's no particular order. I don't have them ordered because I specifically don't believe in pitting gods against one another in the form of a ranking. That would be entirely impolite. So yeah, we'll give them a shuffle and we'll see who comes out in what order, and we'll talk about them a little bit. And any ideas that I have along the way. This is going to be a rambly video, brace yourself. Actually, to be honest, most of my videos are quite rambly, so you're welcome. So let's see who's first. Okay, Epimetheus. Epimetheus, what a boy. Epimetheus is the brother of Prometheus, and he's a deity as well. So this is one of the ones that's in the expansion pack. He is the god of afterthought. So Prometheus, his name literally translates to forethought. So he was the one who gave humans fire. He actually invented, him and his brother Epimetheus worked together to create humans out of clay. So Prometheus is another word for creation and generation and like the manifestation of creative potential, etc., etc. But his brother Epimetheus is afterthought, and he always had not the best luck ever. He wasn't the brightest star in the night sky, shall we say, but his brother was always there to kind of look after him. And you've got a little depiction of Prometheus hanging out here too, which is fun. So I probably shouldn't go into great detail about each one of these cards, or else this video will be 8 million years long, but that's Epimetheus there. He's the god of afterthought. We have Io, a lover of Zeus, featurer in many a myth. There's a lot of women that Zeus had interactions with, shall we say. Hera's usually present in one form or other. I like this particular depiction because Zeus is in his ephemeral cloud form. He's just come and he's ravaging her in, beautiful embrace of the ether as a sky god himself. Mr. King of Mount Olympus. I find that appropriate. So yeah, that's Io. We have Orpheus and Eurydice, another tragic classic myth. Orpheus is known for his talent with music, and Eurydice, his lover, was killed, brought down to the underworld, and he's one of the few mortals to go down into the underworld. And he went to retrieve her, and there's a bit of I'm not going to spoil the ending for you, but it doesn't entirely go his way on the way out. It was one of those, oh, so close, my boy. But anywho, that's Orpheus and Eurydice, a classic and tragic myth. So they're depicted here. We have, this is a revised card. This is the Hore. The hours is what it translates to in English, and the hours is another word for the seasons. So we have four of the seasons here, and then just a beautiful landscape painting, because again, they are one of the more older goddesses of Greek antiquity. Very beautiful. So again, this card, if it comes up, it's going to be it's whatever you want it to be. Actually, let me take a quick moment to talk about my, I think, final decision to specifically not write a guidebook for this deck. The way that I experience the expressions of Greek deity in my life has been a process of learning and experience and gnosis that's very personal to me. And if I had sat down and read a guidebook about a deck like this, I feel like it would just have tainted the experience. It would have thrown the author's intent all over it and not let my own personal experience and relationship with the system and the deities and the themes of the deck. And I don't know. I just feel like if working with a deck like this, you experience the expressions of these deities on your own terms, you're going to internalize those messages a lot more concretely. It's going to mean a lot more to you in the long run. And it's also like my weird ideas about how I relate to each of these deities won't get stuck in your brain every time you open the guidebook to crack out a meaning. So I've linked some resources in the down bar of websites that are great resources to check out just to do some research, form your own opinions and that sort of thing. But I don't want my weird opinions about and my weird relationships, which I will also add are quite personal, to affect your relationship while working with these gods. So I feel like the myths stand alone on their own as oracle messages, which is why Greek mythology works so well as an oracle deck. But you don't need my opinion, is what I'm saying. The cards themselves and what they represent is important. Is easy enough to look up, and it stands on its own. And I definitely don't feel like a guidebook is something that's going to be entirely necessary. So. Anyway, tangent aside, let's move on to the next card. Icarus! This is who my cat's named after. For no reason other than he had a tragic youth. A bit of a traumatic childhood, I guess, shall we say. But Icarus, his father Daedalus is also in this deck. This is another famous myth. Icarus, him and his father were escaping the palace of Knossos in Crete after a lifetime of imprisonment, maybe not a lifetime, but a lot of imprisonment. Icarus spent most of his life inside the palace of Knossos as a prisoner. Anywho, he's still fairly young. His father was a great inventor. We'll get to him eventually, but he invented them wax wings to fly off the palace walls and escape over the sea to freedom. And his father warned him not to fly too close to the sun, for your wings are made of wax. And he did not heed his father's advice, flew too close to the sun, and met his death on the rocks below. So, a tragic tale of naive ego, a lack of humility, hubris, if you will. So, yes. That's a fun story about Icarus here. A beautiful depiction of him here. Got some sea nymphs greeting him upon his demise, but yeah, beautiful painting. Europa, she is who the continent of Europe is named after. This is Zeus here in disguise as a cow. This is another one of Zeus's lovers. He captured her, took her for a walk all the way across the European continent, hence why Europe got the title. Her brothers eventually did come and find her, though, and bring her back. She's well traveled. But another one of Zeus's mistresses, shall we say. Here's Jason, and this is Medea here, but she gets her own card eventually, so we won't talk about her too much. Jason is the captain of the Argonauts, another classic Greek hero. The Argonauts were on a quest for the Golden Fleece, among other things. Golden Fleece being a sheepskin spun from gold, like a highly valuable mythical object. What's the word when you use it in a story? MacGuffin? That's the one. Anywho, that's Jason there. This is Semele. This is Dionysus's mom. And again, we have Zeus being a creep. A common theme in all of these cards. Zeus creeping around. Poor Semele. Her and Zeus had a very intense relationship, shall we say. A heated relationship. A very illuminated relationship that burned very brightly. Anywho, he never showed himself to her. That he always showed up as an ephemeral form of himself, for gods cannot show themselves to mortals without burning them to a crisp. And she was tricked at some behest of Hera's, Zeus's wife, found a way to trick Semele into having Zeus grant her one wish, and she wished that she would be able to see him in his true form, and he was like, no, but had to do it anyway because a wish granted by a god must be followed through with. There's rules to being a Greek god. But yeah, so he did, and she burnt to a crisp, and she was pregnant with Dionysus at the time, so in his last act of kindness to her, he took the baby from her, the fetus actually, he wasn't quite finished yet, and then sewed him into his thigh, and then eventually Dionysus was born from the thigh of Zeus, and this is Semele, his mom. So that's why Dionysus gets the name Twice Born as well. So yeah, fun myth there. Here's Nephele, one of the primordial deities. This one represents clouds. So again, you can take a very atomistic view of this one, get your meaning that way. Doesn't feature super heavily in a lot of myths, but just the properties of the effect that this deity has on the planet are enough to get a good grounds for a message in a reading. Especially in like a Lenormand context, where clouds, obscure things, are very transient. They move quickly, but they have a way of, clouding things over. So, yeah, Nephele, beautiful card. Another beautiful landscape. And I think this is one of the ones from the expansion as well. Here we have Amphitrite. She's unique to this deck. She's one of the few new goddesses that I actually included here, and she's the wife of Poseidon. She's the queen of the sea, and beautiful watery goddess that I would not have not here. So there's Amphitrite right there. We've got Poseidon and then his two horses. I love how Poseidon is associated, like he's the god of horses. Like he's this horses, and I know horses can swim quite well, but it's just hilarious. And there's always depictions of like horses running through the surf, and that's very Poseidon, but it kills me. It's just, it would be like having, I don't know, Zeus be the king of clams. It just doesn't make the most sense ever, Anywho, fun time. And here we have Clymene, goddess of fame and fortune, kind of vanity, what's a good word? Not necessarily shallow goals, but a quest for adoration, that kind of thing is where she lies. She's very beautiful as well. This is a really beautiful Goddard painting as well, but stunning. So we have the Maenads as well, Maenades. They are the female followers of Dionysus. I love having them here. They're in the expansion as well. They're a female depiction of joy and revelry, intoxication, madness. They're just so fun, dynamic, exciting. But yeah, when they show up in a reading, it's going to be a fun time. It's about devotion and commitment to just living life vibrantly and to the best one can, and sucking all of the joy out of life. So, and also like ritual madness as well, like specifically taking yourself to those altered states. All right, next card. We have Perseus. His myth is long and drawn out, but he's another classic Greek hero. Here I couldn't resist depicting him. He borrows Hermes' helmet and shoes so he can fly. So there's Hermes' sandals there. And here he is rescuing Andromeda. She's tied to the rocks and about to be eaten by a serpent. So that's Perseus. Also, he's a bit of a jerk. He's the one who had an altercation with Medusa. So when they come up together, there's some tension there. Here we have the new Atlas. So Atlas is in the original deck. He was one of the ones that got altered. This is an older Atlas. I love how you can see him. He's holding the world here on his shoulders, and you can see there's zodiac signs, so there's Scorpio, and very cute, excellent. A card of burden, very 10 of wands. But again, he's got lots of myths associated with him too. He's the grandson of, he's a Titan god, and he's the grandson of Prometheus and Epimetheus as well. They also, one of their jobs was holding up one of the corners of the sky back in the day. But anyway, here's Medea. Medea. So she's a human, immortal. She was done wrong by, like most women, but she doesn't exactly handle it very well. Her poor children suffer the result of that, but a very emotional myth, this one. I think people land on multiple different sides of this myth, but there's also a yummy tidbit about a necklace involving her and lots of poison and intrigue. But yes, Medea's in there. Here's Eupetus. He is a primordial god, very, very old god. Basically, he is the entire concept of mortality. So if Eupetus didn't exist, then there would be no concept of things ending, and things must end to give them meaning. So it's a big energy, a big heavy card filled with depth and gravitas. I like how it's so cool. I love this. This depiction is delicious. So there's a skull, which is like your, typical memento mori, but you've got a spiral for a skull so that though things end, things do keep going around. And then there's a candle here that's just been blown out. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it was just snuffed. It's delicious. And there's other little treasures you can find when you look in the card too. So I'll leave that up to you for later. Here we have Ganymede. Ganymede is he's a fun one. He's a young boy that was just absolutely beautiful, known for being incredibly gorgeous, like just top tier attractiveness. And lots and lots of people fell for him, but ultimately it was Zeus that ended up forging a relationship with him, and he ended up being his cupbearer for a very long time. So here we have Zeus depicted as an eagle. Mr. transforms into different things all the time. He liked eagles and he liked cows. Very often he was those, but yeah, so that's Zeus there carrying off young Ganymede. He's in there. And here we have Daedalus with another depiction of Icarus' son there. Daedalus, the, genius carpenter, inventor, engineer that was responsible for the labyrinth underneath the Palace of Knossos in Crete that contained the Minotaur. He plays a big role in lots and lots of, not a big role, but he's kind of present sneakily in a lot of Greek myths. When you start to learn about him, he's kind of like, oh, Daedalus made that. I believe he constructed the Argo as well. That was his. Master craftsman, genius, but he eventually did get free, but he had a hard life of making the world better for a lot of other people first, and his life was met with a lot of tragedy. So that's Daedalus. And here we have Oedipus. Everybody knows the myth of Oedipus because of modern psychology. Thanks, Freud. But anywho, here he is with the Sphinx, solving her riddle. I always love the Sphinx, though. She's such a beautiful combination of the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. Like, I love her. Mind you, she doesn't. I guess she kind of has a bull's tail. But anywho, yes, man, eagle, which is exalted Scorpio, lion, and bull. But that aside, Oedipus, his story is of fate and how it's very difficult to change it. It was prophesied that he was going to kill his father and marry his mother, and in trying to avoid doing so, he ended up accidentally actually doing so. So yeah. And then he stabs his own eyes out because he did end up marrying his mother. Anyway, that's Oedipus. Here's Theseus. So speaking of the Minotaur and the labyrinth of Knossos, Theseus is the hero who had enough of, he was from Athens, had enough of sending all of their young men to Crete to appease the hunger of the Minotaur at the heart of the labyrinth. So he went and he was going to slay the Minotaur. He didn't know how he was going to do it, but he did it. He met Ariadne, and she's right here. And she's giving him some string to help him not get lost in the labyrinth. So he's about to go in and do some Minotaur slaying as well. So that's fun. Doesn't go well for her. We'll talk about her in a second. Here we have Anake. Anake is the snake in this case. So this card used to be the cosmic egg, which we all know and love. However, it aesthetically did not match the rest of the deck. It was just a bit too different from all the other cards, and I thought, you know what? We're going to change it. So I did. This is a common depiction of Lilith, but in this case, she is a representation of the cosmic egg. And then Anake, the snake, we're going to tie our myths together a little bit here. Hope you all have your pen and paper out. Anywho, Anake is necessity. So without the snake being the necessity for things to happen, the cosmic egg, or in this case Lilith or Eve or whoever you choose this to be, doesn't hatch. She doesn't escape the confines of the egg-shaped womb that the beginning of that myth kind of lives in, which is very interesting. So you can read this however you like. You can read it within the Greek context. You can throw a Christian myth spin on it. It's entirely up to you, but I love it. And in a reading, it comes up as like a very strong need for specific something to happen. Very cool. Love this card. I love all the cards. I'm going to say that about a lot of them, but you know how it is. Here we have Bellerophontes. Oh, my candle's leaking. I hate when that happens. That should stop it for now. Bellerophontes. He was another Greek hero. Him and Pegasus hooked up and were buddies. I have Athena here watching over him in the back. I believe he was another one of the ones that was guided by Chiron as well, which is fun. So there's lots to learn about him. He's in there, and I love how the depiction has Pegasus in it too, in his proper white form, which is good. We have harpies here, the traditional bird women who shrieked and caused havoc. Other word for them is a siren. Sirens and harpies are kind of similar. Sirens do, and I know in the deck they're sort of sea ladies, but they are often depicted as bird women as well. Their siren song being appealing, but then when you get close, it turns out they're just shrieking awful women. But anywho, there she is. This one, if it comes up in a reading, it can be something along the lines of an alarm or just something that seems attractive but is absolutely a bad idea. And here we have the new Moirai card, which was one of the ones from the expansion. Our fates, our weavers of the thread of life. Them that decide what happens. This is a very culture that believes in fate, that events are the way they're going to be, and what's going to happen was always going to happen, but you do still have the free will to choose, but just know that your choices are always what you were going to choose. Anywho, very fun. If they come up in a reading, it's very much about one's destiny, or that, be comfortable with the way things that are going to happen. Again, it entirely depends on the cards around it, but the fates. Here we have Achilles, classic hero of the Trojan War. Kind of a schmuck, but that's okay. But yes, no, his mom dipped him. There's his mom there, actually. And he's being gifted here with his shield and spear and armor, which has also been enchanted for him. But yeah, he was dipped in the river Styx for immortality, but as she was holding his ankle or heel, it did not receive the same treatment and was his main weakness, and we all know what happened there. So that's Achilles. He's got lots of stories regarding the Trojan War, as well as his relationship with, what's his name? Starts with an L. Leon, Logan, something like that. He had a boyfriend, basically, and when his boyfriend got killed, he went kind of mad, and that was also part of what led to his death. That involves Paris, but anywho, we don't need the whole history of the Trojan War here. But we have Achilles. Feel free to look into him at your own pace. Mount Olympus, Olympus Oros, another gorgeous landscape card. So beautiful. And that's like what it looks like. It's what Greece looks like. It's incredible. So beautiful. But yes, this one comes up in a reading very much representation of the high place, the seat of the gods, like the earth as a temple kind of thing. Very beautiful. Midas. You guys all remember him? King Midas? Got his wish and regretted it incredibly. He was Mr. Turns things into gold with his hands, but there's also another second side myth about him involving him getting turned into a donkey. So that's why he's here with the ears of an ass. So. Here we have Pygmalion in Galatea. Pygmalion Galatea. So he was a sculptor, again, a bit of a schmuck. He couldn't find a woman that he loved, so he insisted, like, this is incel energy a little bit, but couldn't find a woman that he loved, so he made himself the perfect one. He sculpted her out of stone, and then was granted a wish. Might have been Eros, it's him there. And she came to life, and he loved her forever. Fun fact, the play Pygmalion, as well as the film My Fair Lady and Pretty Woman, are all based on the Pygmalion and Galatea myth. Here we have Chloris. She got a new card. And there's Zephyrus. So she's flowers. So her Roman equivalent is Flora. She's the greenery. So Demeter is the goddess of the grain and the harvest. She's more like flowers, foliage, just the plant spirits themselves. So she's beautiful and good to have here, and like having lots of options for her. And yes, just the fact that she gets blown around by the wind a lot just is appropriate. And we got a new Astraeus card, very similar to the other one, different painting though. But yeah, the night sky, stars, which is ultimately where all of the heroes would be placed after they've created or finished their deeds, their quests, their heroic actions. The ultimate reward would be to be placed in the sky among the stars. And yes, we can read this very much as the star card in the tarot, being hope and a new, fresh beginning, but also star as in the achieved fame, your legacy has been set kind of context as well. So yeah, very fun. We have the Minotaur here too. I love that this painting particularly captures the half man, half bull essence of the Minotaur so very well. But yes, trapped forever, the center of a labyrinth, being fed noisy, angry teenage boys for the rest of his existence. And his origin story is kind of unfortunate. His mom, Perseus, she was cursed to fall in love with a cow. We do love cows, but one shouldn't consort with them. But anyway, so she ended up giving birth to the half man, half cow. But she loved him. It was her baby. She loved him dearly. That's why they wouldn't kill him. They kept him forever. And then he worked out as a political pawn quite well. So unfortunately, he does come to an unfortunate end, but at the hands of Theseus. But yeah, I like in a reading when the Minotaur comes up. This is a very monster at the center of the labyrinth, right? So this is, this is the nugget of the shadow self that we're working with in trying to integrate when we're doing shadow work. So I like that he's there. And here we have the golden fleece, much that thing that we want to attain, that unrealistic goal, the lofty hopes and dreams of all of the heroes out there, the golden fleece. And this is Jason here carrying it. But, the ultimate reward, that thing that everyone desires and wishes to attain. Here we have Phaeton. He is the son of Helios or Apollo, one of the sun gods. Sorry, I'll have to look it up. Anywho, he wanted to impress his buddies by driving his dad's chariot across the sky, and it was just too much for him. Poor guy. Anywho, he fell out of the sky and embarrassed himself greatly. So yes, another one of young, naive ego and overestimating one's own abilities and that sort of thing. Speaking of overestimating one's abilities, we have Sisyphus. Sisyphus, cursed forever to push a rock up a hill. But the thing is, he does it of his own free will. He's told that he can achieve everything he ever wanted. All he has to do is push this rock over this hill. But it is impossible. It is an impossible task. But he's so determined on doing it, he just does it forever. Sisyphus was also an absolute jerk. He cheated death a couple times, which is why the ultimate curse happened on him, and Thantos was just not cool with being cheated. Do not cheat death unless, you want to deal with the consequences of that later. But that is Sisyphus there, the Sisyphean task, the repetitive action over and over again, never quite achieving it, but always striving towards it. So, yeah, that's it. The Lernaean Hydra, one of Heracles' 12 labors. We all know the Hydra. Actually, one of the islands in Greece that I've been to, Hydra, is named after. But yep, a serpent who's very difficult to kill. Head gets chopped off, comes back more. Kind of, this would be a symbol of whatever problem you're trying to tackle. If you tackle it incorrectly, it will come back worse than if you kill it properly. So that's the Hydra. Astrape and Bronte, thunder and lightning, beautiful. I love the storm energy of these two sisters together. Gorgeous. Yeah, earlier goddesses that are just embody that earth energy really beautifully. And again, this one in a reading can symbolize an idea, but also has that storm energy about it, like with the flash of lightning being like the spark of creativity amongst the murkiness of a cloudy storm. But yeah. And if they come up with Zeus too, because of his relationship to lightning and thunder, then also extra amplified. Odysseus, of all the Greek heroes, I think Odysseus is the most epic, the star of the Odyssey himself. It's funny, what I take away most from his story is that, yes, he did all of these crazy and amazing things. Like, he survived things he shouldn't have, fought in wars, escaped the clutches of many women, but he suffered because he was never happy, ever. He never had that comfortable home life. His home life with poor Penelope back home was always just waiting for him as that reward, but he never got to really enjoy it. And when he did finally come home after all those years, he just kind of withered and died. So it's just I find when Odysseus comes up, yes, it's an epic adventure. It's going on crazy quests, but especially regarding the cards around it, of course. But it's that reminder: don't forget what it is that you have at home. Like, don't eschew the small pleasures in life just because they're not sensational or grand. So, anywho, sorry, you get a little mini reading here, but Odysseus. Also, Hermes, my boy! And there's a little caduceus there. I couldn't not add him. And then, this is Circe's hand here. So, he stayed with Circe on Aea for a while. And, she's, dribbling a little bit of something into the cup. Circe being, goddess of witchcraft, she was in cahoots with Hermes as well, and Odysseus was too clever to fall for her turning men into pigs spell. So anyway, that was an aside. Calypso, poor Calypso. Again, related to Odysseus. She was one of the other goddesses that Odysseus spent quite a bit of time with on his adventures. It was like 7 years or so, but he eventually had to leave, and she was very sad. A lot of thwarted women, unfortunately. But again, like, you can take that and use it as turn it on its head and use it as an empowering story as well. So all myths they're not set in stone, right? You can put your own personal spins on it. You can use your experience with those energies and turn the messages into something empowering. There's always a story, especially with Greek myth. There's always a story there. There's always a lesson. There's always something to be learned from all of the situations, no matter how weird they happen to be. All right, we're getting there. Tantalus. He was cursed forever to be always hungry, always thirsty, within reach of a succulent fruit, as well as the gentle touch of fresh spring water, but it never reached him. It was always just out of hand. He just couldn't quite get there. So the word tantalizing comes to mind, but yes, in a reading, this one's very much you'll be tempted. There will be temptations, things that you just likely may not be able to enjoy, and just pay them no mind. Mind your business. Here's the new Dionysus card. Love it. He's got his Thyrsus here. Can't see it super well. And then his leopard skin sarong as well. So very, very traditional Dionysus there. I think, is that a Da Vinci? I think it might be. Thesis, another one from the expansion pack. The reason for living, creation itself. When you think of, like, go back to, like, public school English class, thesis being the central statement of what it is you're writing, the purpose. That's what thesis is. Thesis is purpose. Divine purpose. It's so beautiful. Oh my gosh, love it. Actaeon. Oh, this guy. He unfortunately was spying on not Diana. Well, Diana, but Artemis is the Greek name, and you're not supposed to look at gods when they're bathing, even by accident. So anyway, he got turned into a deer, and then his hunting dogs ate him. So just be careful there. Oh, who's this? Helen of Troy. We all know Helen of Troy. The face that launched 1,000 ships. The consort to Paris. There's another myth involving a beauty contest between Athena, Hera, and Aphrodite. Eventually it was being judged by Paris, and then Aphrodite wanted to win, obviously, because goddess of beauty, you can't lose a beauty contest. How embarrassing. So she bribed him, saying that you'll be able to marry the most beautiful woman in the world if you pick me. So he's like, that sounds like a good deal. So he did. He picked Aphrodite to be the winner of this beauty contest, and then was promised to Helen of Troy, which is all well and good, except that started the most giant war ever. The reason the war got started is because Athena and Hera found out about this bribe, and they were not pleased. So yeah, basically, don't ever judge a beauty contest between three gods. Just don't do it. It's not going to go well for you. Charybdis. Spinning whirlpool of death in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, and flanking on her side, actually, let me find her. Is she in here somewhere? Could you imagine if she was the next card? No, she's close. Is Scylla. So a common turn of phrase is stuck between Scylla and Charybdis. So Scylla, and here she's, before she got unfortunately turned into a giant serpent, but she is a fearsome monster. She lives on the rocks. She has 6 heads, and she's a nasty serpent that eats soldiers or and basically any fisherman that happens to go by her rocks. So there's a very narrow passageway, kind of at the foot of Italy, between where these were said to be. So in the water there'd be Charybdis here, this whirlpool that boats obviously would want to avoid. But if they went too far away from Charybdis, you'd hit Scylla, and you'd have to sacrifice like many dozens of your men to her hungry heads. So yes, between Scylla and Charybdis is a common turn of phrase. Here's Glaucus as well. He's another sea god. And Glaucus and Scylla were in love, which is cute, but there's some other details surrounding Circe there, because Circe also loved Glaucus. And Glaucus was just a man that eventually got turned into a god because Circe loved him, but then he was like, I'm a god now, I don't love you anymore. And then I love Scylla instead, who is a very beautiful nymph. So anywho, there's lots of jealousy and vanity and, tricksy relationships going on there, but yeah, couple of monsters there for your enjoyment. Let's pull out Narcissus here. Narcissus, another attractive youth, kind of got stuck staring at himself. Many goddesses, like Aphrodite included, were enamored with Narcissus, but he just couldn't get over himself. Also, there's a story about him with, actually, is she here? Yes, she is. Echo. Echo and Narcissus go together. She's in here as well. She's from the new expansion as well. And, yeah, she was in love with Narcissus. And he just didn't pay any attention to her. And she eventually got cursed to have to echo everything he said. So, or cursed, like, it wasn't called Echo then, because her name hadn't, her name was Echo. That's where the term Echo comes from. But she was doomed to repeat everything he said, and then couldn't actually communicate properly. So she runs off in dismay afterwards, because he's, again, too preoccupied with himself. So poor Echo. Nemean Lion, another one of the labors of Hercules. A very, like, the traditional strength card. If you look at, like, old Marseille decks as well, the strength card is often Heracles fighting a lion, so very that. And that's the lion had impenetrable skin, so that's why it was kind of a big deal. So later depictions of Heracles always had him with the lion skin over him. One of his signifiers. But yes, great strength, might, feat, maybe not always the most beautiful situation, but so it is. There's the new Eros. There are 2 copies of Eros in the expansion. And then there's one in, there's 2 copies of Eros in the revised edition, and then there's this one in the expansion. Lots of Eros around, but it's the older version of Eros and Psyche here, so that myth of love and soul and soulmates and commitment to each other. There's an aspect of going into the underworld within a relationship as well in the context of this myth, so that's fun. Hygeia, she's the daughter of Asclepius, was a man turned god, invented health and medicine, and she is the personification of hygiene, which is very important to one's personal health. So this card comes up. Maybe it's just like, go have a bath. Make sure, cleanse. Make sure you're clean emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, the importance of cleanliness. I like that she's in there. And there's a snake. We love snakes. Transformation, also associated with health and wellness as well. Because, so with snake venom, when it comes to using poisons as medicine, what was it they say? That the, like treats like. So if you're dealing with toxic things in your life, you are to treat them, like cure them with toxic things as well. So anyway, very interesting. Tethys, primordial goddess of water, fresh water. Yes. Epic. I love her. She's so good. But yeah, just like a strong female water goddess. I think she was also married to Eupetus as well. Yeah. Chiron, we all know Chiron, our wounded healer, trainer of many a hero. Many. At least half a dozen. But yeah, very wise, very knowledgeable, willing to share, but also, in constant pain. So Chiron. We're getting there, guys. We're almost done. Here's Ariadne. Poor Ariadne. So, remember we were talking with Perseus? No, Theseus. Sorry. Their names are so similar. Theseus and the Minotaur and Ariadne giving him the string there. Anyway, she really liked Theseus. She was going to marry him, and then he abandoned her for her sister, so she was very devastated. He left her on an island somewhere. What a jerk. She ends up marrying Dionysus, though, so all goes well for her. So, just gotta be patient. Wait it out. Wait for that right guy, you know? If it's a quick relationship reading. And then our last one is the new Nymphae card, so just some new water nymphs to mix stuff up. So very good, playful, beautiful water energy there. So, oh gosh, this video is gonna be so long. Anywho, that's the expansion pack to the Hellenic Oracle deck. Backs match beautifully. You can mix them together, no problem. Exact same cardstock, exact same size. You can pick and choose who it is you want. Shuffles like a dream. Let's pull a couple. Echo, Euripides, and Minotaur. Okay, so like that deep inner shadow work thing that we were talking about, the concept of mortality and being stuck repeating yourself over and over again. That's fun. Great. What a lovely 3-card we've got here. But very cute. I like how the colors kind of mirror each other. Anyway, but yeah, that's the Hellenic Oracle expansion deck. Goes well with it. It's available on playing cards right now. Links below. I think what I'm gonna do is, because this video is just really long and me chatting about it, I'll just do a silent walkthrough and post it separately, just so if you just want to see the cards, you can look at that. But yeah, they're beautiful. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and yeah. If you're into Greek mythology and this is the kind of vessel through which you like to receive your card messages, then go for it. But don't feel like you have to. Obviously, it's entirely up to you. I'm not here to sell decks. It was something I wanted. I needed to make it. And now it exists. How fun. So yeah. Thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it, and I will see all you fine people in my next video. Bye.